In this video, you're going to learn how to use Postman. Postman is an essential tool if you're building a REST API. I have never worked with a team or on a project where Postman was not heavily used by every developer involved. Postman lets you create HTTP requests and fire them off. That makes it really easy to test that everything you're writing is working as expected. Now, obviously, we will also be writing automated tests, but using Postman lets you play around with data and see how things work as you move through your API. It really is a fantastic tool. To grab it, we're going to head over to the browser and go to getpostman.com. And here we can grab their Chrome application. Now, if you're not using Chrome, you are going to need to install it, although you don't have to use the Chrome browser. All you have to do is install Chrome to install the app, open up Postman, and you never have to use Chrome again. If you already use Chrome, great, go ahead and install that. If you are on a Mac, they just introduced a Mac app. It is a great alternative. It has all the same features. It's just bundled differently. Instead of opening Chrome to open Postman, you can just open the app from Spotlight like I can here. Hey, what's going on? It's Andrew from the future with a quick interruption. If you go over to the Postman website, you're going to notice there's no longer a Chrome app download option. That's because Google Chrome is deprecating the entire idea of a Chrome application. So that whole ecosystem is going away, but that's perfectly fine because Postman has released applications for all operating systems. So whether you're on Mac, whether you're on Windows or Linux, you can find the native application for your operating system. It's the exact same app. It's just specific to your OS. So go ahead and grab the one for your system. Then we can just go ahead and continue on as usual. All right, let's jump back into the regular video. Now I'm going to be using the Chrome application since that's most likely what you'll be using if you're not on a Mac. To install it, all you have to do is install the Chrome app from the Chrome store, click Add to Chrome, and it should bring you over to the page where you can open up the application. Now, to open up Chrome apps, you have to go to this kind of weird URL. It's chrome://apps. Here, you can view all of your apps, and we can just open up Postman by clicking it. Now, as I mentioned, Postman lets you make HTTP requests. So we're going to go ahead and make a few to play around with the user interface. You do not need to make an account, and you do not need to sign up for a paid plan. The paid plans are targeted towards teams of developers who need advanced features. We are just making basic requests on our machine. We don't need cloud storage or anything like that. I'm going to skip account creation and we go right to the application. Here, we can set up our request. This is what happens in the panel right here. And down below, in the white space, we'll be able to view the result. Let's go ahead and make a request to Google. In the URL bar, I'm going to type http://google.com. We can click send to send off that request. Make sure you have get chosen as your HTTP method. When I fire off the request, it comes back and all of the data that comes back is shown below. We have things like the status code. We have a 200 here, meaning things went great. We have the time. It took about a quarter of a second. We have headers. These are coming back from Google. We have cookies. There's none in this case. And we have our body data. The body for google.com is an HTML website. For the most part, the bodies that we'll be sending and getting in Postman are going to be JSON since we're building out that REST API. So to illustrate how JSON data works, we're going to make a request to the geocoding URL that we used earlier in the course. If you remember, we were able to pass in a location and we got some JSON back describing things like the latitude and longitude and the formatted address. Now this should still be in your Chrome history. If you deleted your history, you can go ahead and go to Google APIs right here. This is the URL I'll be using. You can simply copy it or you can grab any JSON API URL. I'm going to grab this one, copy it to the clipboard, head back into Postman and swap out the URL with the URL I just copied. Now I can go ahead and fire off the request and what do we get? We get our JSON data down below. And this is fantastic. We're able to see exactly what comes back when we make this request. And this is how we're going to be using Postman. We'll use Postman to make requests to add to-dos, delete to-dos, get all of our to-dos, log in. All of that stuff is going to happen right in here. Remember, APIs, they don't necessarily have a front end. Maybe it's an Android app, maybe it's an iPhone app or a web app, maybe it's another server. So Postman gives us a way to interact with our API, making sure it works as expected. Here we have all of the JSON data that comes back in the raw view, which is under body. We have the raw data response. Essentially, it's just unprettified. There is no formatting. There is no colorization. We also have a preview. The preview is pretty useless for JSON. When it comes to JSON data, I always stick with the pretty tab, which should be the default. Now that we have Postman installed and we know a little bit about how to use it, we're going to move on to the next video where we actually create our first request, and we'll be firing off a Postman request to hit the URL we're going to create. This is going to let us make new to-dos right from Postman or any other application, whether it's a web app, a mobile app, or another server. That's all coming up next, so just make sure you have Postman installed. If you were able to do everything in this video, you are ready to continue on. Stay tuned. I will see you next time.